open, rotate up, the pulse of the monkey, fresh knee, sit back, set it up, all together, 2, holding your ball, part the wild horse's mane, twist, center, there it is. Flip the hands, cloud hands, sit back. 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. 2 things happen at 3. 2 things happen at 9. 1 thing happens at 3. Shift the weight at 12. Golden cockerel. Kick out. Gather, center, follow, cross the bird's tail, sink down, sit back, embrace, drop down, sink down. Okay, I'm going to erase what I said. We're going to end with the 10 because I think you all are in a very calm mood and time has run out.
But I want to just go down to a little bit of basics. I want everybody to just stand the way they are. Feel what your legs are doing, what your body's doing. And the next thing I want you to do is bend your knees. Go back up. Bend your knees. The next time you go, we're going to come up here. The next time you go down, I want you to feel what happens to the amount of pressure, if you will, down to the lower parts of your legs. Right now, everything is sort of just nice, stretched and rigid, and you're just standing on sticks. And you don't get the feeling, maybe as much as you will, that you're touching the ground. But when you drop down, what happens? You get more of an attention in your mind that my feet are in contact, and I am, one, becoming more stable, but the pressure is on my feet, and I become more aware of your feet. That's why we want you in Tai Chi to not be straight-legged and watch Lucille and stay there. And when you're ready to go, then you're ready. And only when you finally do this, you come down. when you're standing in normal Tai Chi posture, hopefully you learn just a little looseness in the knee, not locked. The knees are not locked. That already gives you a feeling of contact to the ground. And although, another thing added to that, although we do a lot of moving of the tips or our ankles, and we're doing some of this, we do some of this, almost invariably, the back foot never does this. Okay? From a martial arts standpoint, you're going to be out of balance. And where is the weight? The weight is on this foot. And your opponent grabs you and says, come along. You're just going to keep going. Versus, if both feet are on the ground and the guy grabs you, and you're down here, if you sit down even more, it's going to take a lot more work for him to move you. By the same token, if you're walking along and you say, I'm going to go and tiptoe here in your everyday work, because I'm just going to grab one of these things. Nobody's going to pull you, but gravity is going to take you and you're going to fall. Okay? So that's another one. And the third thing, I sort of make it a joke, but in Tai Chi, no parts of your body is unemployed. In a given movement, all of them are employed. And related to that, when you first begin, the term is brush knee. But what do you see? You see this, this, this. What happened to the brush knee? The brush knee sort of is an afterthought, or not even a thought at all, because you know that you have to do this, and the hand is dangled here. So you don't want to do that. From here, step brush knee. In fact, this helps you, because it says, if this is going this way, what does the other part of the body have to do? Stay this way? No. They all help you in concert. And the function from a martial arts standpoint is you've got to protect yourself before you get access to your opponent. Protect yourself. Brush whatever he's coming toward you. Brush it away. And meanwhile, you're getting your offense into position. Brush the knee. See? Brush the knee. Continue to brush the knee, and you strike out. Okay? The movement here, some people, when it comes to getting yourself cocked up, this hand is staying here. Oh, I've got to get it back up here. Bring it. It's moving. Everybody's moving. Otherwise, what happens is, oh yeah, I got to get back down here. So think about that. No part of your body is, quote, unemployed when you're performing an act. And it's your job to figure out, how do I address the activity which seems less obvious? Because it's already caught your eye to do this or to do this. If you're warding off, it's not just warding off. Two hands are working. Okay? This hand is potentially blocking, but it's getting into position. So I'm going to come forward, and I'm going to round his arm, and I'm going to grab him. So push him away, so he's away from you, and you can see what's going on over here. But you're also, if he happens to be wanting to punch you, kick you, you can practice this. And then you've got him where you want him. Well, you want him. You've pushed him away, but he hasn't gone away far enough to stay out of trouble. Then you're in contact, and you know different parts of his body, and just happens maybe one of his arms are like that. So you switch around, grab the arm right here, and you come forward and you grab his wrist and you pull him down. You don't just pull down this way, you turn. Just imagine what you're doing to the guy's elbow. It's going to be stretched out this way, And you're going to turn him because you're turning him. Ward off. Turn. See how my hand goes? Although she tells you just to do this, that's the stylized of stylized. But if you say you're really going to use it for action, ward off, grab, turn. This is coming down, and this is doing, I'm sorry, not this way, it's turning this way. That will turn the joint, straighten your elbow, and it doesn't bend too well that way. But those are the applications. But remember, at this stage, you know what the obvious one part of the movement that you see, and you're going to address that. It's almost automatic. Look for the portion that's not so obvious. The brush knee or ward off, okay? Stay flat on your feet, bend your knees.
It's important to do the movements correctly, and what can help is that you create images in your mind as to what you're doing, and that will come over time. But rather than be oblivious to where the movement comes from, since all of Tai Chi is based on martial arts, but now turned into a meditative dance routine. So I guess what Ken's trying to say is that if you can have an ideal world, you will not just look only at that forward hand, but you will also look at the hand or the whole body as to what each limb or thing is doing simultaneously to get that blow out or to get that force out. So we talk about, in a general way, opposites attract, yin and yang. So one comes out, one comes in. And there are many, many ways of approaching a discipline through martial arts, through me, and then yet we can decorate it a little bit more and add more stuff to it. We could also say that the other hand is a counterbalance hand, and what is it doing here? It's not going to sleep like he says. We didn't cover that. Lots of people will then look, like he says, at the outward hand, and then they forget about this guy. But this is the guy that keeps you erect and keeps you in good form, keeps you in the best optimal position. Okay, just going over golden cockerel now. So in Tai Chi, we try to achieve the most optimal position where we are using the least amount of energy to get into the safest formation. So those are pretty powerful phrases and tasks that we have to understand and then apply it to how our body can be used correctly. So one of the premises or one of the tenets, there are 10, says that we have to make sure that we shift our weight. So already with our warm-ups, we saw that we needed to shift our weight to ground ourselves to kick out on a weightless foot. So just stand there, and this is the shifting of the weight. So when you shift your weight, you feel your foot heavier. You also see that your knee on the weighted foot is flexed because you're storing that energy and allowing that insubstantial foot to be weightless. At the same time we're doing this, we have identified our center of gravity, which is called our Danten point. And everybody has it. It's a, I want to say imaginary, but it's a spot that you need to concentrate and focus on 2 inches below your navel. That center of the gravity has to be straight up. It can't dip forward, it can't dip back, neither can it sway, but either way. But it can, ground ourselves and center ourselves a little bit more, however low you want it. But that center stays within your system. It's keeping you erect, it's keeping you safe. But once you waver from it, you're shifting weight, but you're shifting in the wrong way, in that you're probably overstepping and the center is here and you're pushing that center. Therefore, you feel this unsteadiness on your feet. So you're going to have to come back up and center that. Helping you with that center is keeping your head straight up, your spine erect, your head erect, okay? Even though we're a rag doll and we've got our shoulders dropped. Along that line now, when we move, we have so many things within our body system that can help us. One is turning on our axle. Okay, put your finger up, your pointing finger. This is your spine. You can turn or rotate one way. You can turn or rotate another way. You can also advance. When you advance, the whole body advances. It just doesn't just tip this way or tip backwards or tip to the side. So that's within your power, okay? You also have a strong mind. The mind helps you concentrate and focus on what you're doing and process all the steps that you need to do to get your movement done, okay? So when we do our golden cockerel, we are also creating spirals. We don't want to just come up abruptly and do this and abruptly do this, because we're not giving ourselves a chance to process what needs to be done. We need to come down like a spiral. We need to swing up like a spiral. We need to come down and push down. We need to come up in a spiral rather than just jaggedly come up abruptly. So we're going to soften our movements to help us process our mind. When we're a golden cockerel now, the spirals, the shifting away, the slight turning on that axle, the pushing down, the pulling up, the counterbalancing helps us. We're not in any rush. We're not our goal, our task is not to get our high kick, but it is to study our body and to learn how we can be safe in our movements, okay? So here we go. So first off, good Tai Chi posture, dropping those shoulders, tucking the butt, hollowing the chest, chin slightly down, glance way ahead out into infinity, good thoughts, tongue on your palate. Opened up our span, shift weight to the left, spiral, center, push down, pull up. Soften your movements through spirals. One more set. Okay, kicking out now. We're at 50-50. We want to gather the energy, we want to center the energy. Our right hand is on the outside of the cross. We tuck the elbow in. If I didn't tuck my elbow in, I would have it out like this. But I want to gather the energy. I want to center it to the middle of our body. Middle of the body. Shift the weight. Spin slightly on the axle. Then kick out and follow with the hand. Follow with the eye. Come down and counterbalance that. Back hand, left foot coming up, kick out, left, down, shift weight, center, and out, shift weight, spiral, rotate on that axle, out, center, bring up that energy, out. Okay, I'm going to call it the last one. All right, reviewing now how we do our feet stance. Hands at our waist, okay, and when we have our hands at our waist, do not feel that you need to raise your shoulder. In fact, everybody raise it as high as you can, up to your ears. That's not good. You're locking your energy. Therefore, drop it all the way down. What happened? Your feet got heavier and your knees are flexed. This is the way Tai Chi is, dropping the shoulder. On a T stance, we're storing the energy on the right. Therefore, that knee can be flexed. This is the T. We're going to come out on an L, out and to the side. But the energy still stays within our right foot. Therefore, from the flat of our foot all the way through our system, we have to move that energy by turning our hips and waist, flattening down, and this is called a bow stance. In a bow stance, now the knee never can go beyond the toe. All right, everybody push that knee beyond the toe. And what is it making you do? You don't want to do that. You don't want to fall, so you're going to have to align your knee with your toe. The right or back foot is on a 45 degree, and you could have adjusted that when you made the turn, but never lock in. So right now, my knee and your knee should not be locked. But to test that, let's lift it up and keep it really straight and tight. That's locking your knee. You don't want to lock the energy within your system. Therefore, you relax it a little bit, but not too much, okay? This is the bow stance. We're going to sit back and we're going to sit down on the imaginary stool. Why are we going to do that? We're going to try to get the weight off of our front foot to make it an insubstantial, weightless foot so it can pivot. But if we have too much weight on it, we're doing something incorrect, okay? So we're going to gather the energy, sit on that stool, and that back right foot is probably aching. The knee area is aching. Then we can twist on that insubstantial. The foot should be now parallel or on a line of the tile. Bring the right foot to a T. You notice that the weight is on the left now, so therefore the knee has flex in it. We're going to step out into the side on our heel. We're going to move the energy all through our system, flatten down, adjust that back foot to a 45 degrees, and now we're in a bow stance, bow and arrow. Okay, now we're going to draw back and we're going to sit down on that imaginary stool. Okay, we should remember that our finger is like our spine, it should be straight up. Allowing our right heel to twist, firm down, holding that energy, creating the T on a left foot, come out into the side on an L, move the energy, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. So don't get me wrong now. The turning of the hips and waist does not initiate the energy. The energy has to come up through. You should feel the energy coming from the sole of the foot. Sit back, sit down, flexing that right knee, twist step, root down, bear down on the left, T stance, out and to the side. Then you're going to move that energy and unflex that knee, turn the hips and waist into a bow stance, okay? So this is what we have established to be our foundations for alignment of our feet. Then we went on to say that one of the next principles in our 10 essentials is that whatever the bottom of our body does should match with the top of our body. So we said, this is good, this is the foundation, but we now have to use our upper body to give us more support. So to give us more support, we said that we could hold our Tai Chi ball. And the Tai Chi ball has certain parameters. The top hand should be at chest level. The bottom hand should be 2 inches below your navel, allowing us to center the energy to the middle of our system. To disperse or to dispense or to generate the energy that's now stored in our right foot, we're going to have to help the bottom by enhancing the top. So if you could be like me, and I'll walk you through it. This is the T stance. You have energy on your right. You're stepping out on an L. You're moving the energy, moving the hips and waist. Bottom hand advances to come out to part the wild horse's mane. This is the finished movement of part the wild horse's mane. Here again we could check the knee not beyond the toe, the 2 hips aligned to the front or left foot, and the left hand is in that left position rather than in the mid position. The right hand is to the side of our hip as if it were holding another, like say a tennis ball. So you don't want that right hand to go to sleep and droop down. Here we go back now, okay? Choreograph says sit down, sit back, twist step. We need to center because all our weight's on our left. What do? Help ourselves by holding a ball. There, you feel a little bit more secure. To move out now, we're going to take an L stance, move the energy to the bottom of our foot, turn our hips and waist, split the energy, go up the horse's mane. Bottom hand advances. Sit back, sit down on that imaginary stool, twist step. Root down, center and help yourself with a ball. Step out, move the energy, turn the hips and waist, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, store that energy, twist step. One foot is going to be weighted, so you're going to center yourself with a ball. Out on an L, move the energy from the bottom of your foot all the through, turn the hips and waist out to the tips of your finger. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, move that energy, turn the hips and waist, bow stance, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, center, L stance, bottom of the foot, move that energy, turn the hips and waist, part the wild horse's mane. Okay, so then we got a little fancier and we did other movements. So the one that we need to clean up now is the martial arts movement where we ward off our opponent. When we ward off our opponent, we use our forearm, okay? Can you touch your forearm, either side? So we're gonna push the guy out. He's in our space and we wanna keep him at a distance. But in order for us to keep it in the strongest, most balanced position, we need to just give ourselves that space so that we are still erect. However, sometimes we tend to follow our hand. We don't need all that space, and plus we're going to be an easy prey to our opponent. We're already helping him. We want to bring this guy back and stay erect rather than follow that forearm, okay? So then we're going to practice how to grasp the bird's tail. Grasping the bird's tail entails two sub-movements, warding off by using our forearm and then bringing down the bird. Okay, so watch how I do it, maybe that will help. So I start with my ball, I center myself, I step out on an L, I move the energy, my bottom hand advances, turn my hips and waist, and I forearm my opponent. I pause for a couple seconds maybe, I turn my hips and waist, and these are my hands, palm to palm but staggered. I actually drag down my opponent, but gracefully I pull down the bird's tail. So how do I do that? I sit down, I sit back, and I turn my hips and waist. Eye contact, I turn my hips and waist, my energy now can push out. I come back and I sit down again because I need to store that energy for more power to lunge forward to push him out. But every time I take a sub-movement, my spine is straight up. I do not follow. I do not tilt. Okay? Watch the other side and then we'll try it together. Sit back, sit down, twist step. I'm going to ground myself and I need balance, therefore I need to form a ball to center myself. When I ward off, I'm in a T stance now. I need to come out on an L. I need to move the energy, turn my hips and waist, bottom hand advances to forearm. That's all the space I'm going to give him. If I give any more, I'm giving myself away. Then I turn my hips and waist, I reposition my hands. I didn't do anything with the bottom portion of my body except maybe, watch, turn my hips and waist, that's all, but my feet did not do anything. So I wore it off, turn my hips and waist, as if to grasp the bird's tail, palm to palm but staggered. Don't come out this way, stayed where I am. And what did I do? How did I get back up down there? I sat down, I sat back. How am I going to get back? I'm going to turn my hips and waist. But that's all I need to do. Then I'm going to turn again. And at the middle of my body, I'm going to push him out. Separate the energy, roll back, and what? Push him down. Push him up, push him out. Okay, ready to do some pushing? Okay, so those are images for Tai Chi movements that are derived from martial arts. That's why even if Tai Chi is smooth and graceful, you are still building stronger core, you're developing muscles and strength. And Ken's reminding me to remind you that your hips need to be more flexible. That's how you're directing your movement. So don't be afraid to use your hips and waist because we've warmed them up really well. That is part of your core, okay? So T stance, holding your ball, right hand on the top, left hand on the bottom, 2 inches below your navel, whereas the right hand is at chest level. And you see that I'm not here yet, right? I'm pretty much centered towards the bulletin board wall, okay? The energy is in my back or right foot. I'm going to move into an L stance. The energy from the back elevates, goes through, turn my hips and waist, bottom hand advances to use my forearm to ward off, whereas the right hand sits to the side. I turn my hips and waist, I reposition my hands. How do I get back? I sit down, I sit back. I turn at my hips and waist. Eye contact at my wrists, turn my hips again, push from the center all that energy that's been stored, separate it, roll back and push him down, sit down. Push him up, push him out. Sit back, sit down, twist, step. What are we going to do? Helping ourselves to balance by centering with a ball. T stance. Step out on an L. Move the energy, turn the hips and waist, bottom hand advances to forearm your opponent. Turn your hips and waist, reposition your hands. Sit down, sit back, turn at the hips and waist to look back. Contact at your wrists, turn at your hips and waist, center of the body, push the energy through, separate the energy, roll back and sit down, spiral up, lunge forward. Again, twist step, T stance, L stance, turn the hips and waist, forearm your opponent, turn your hips and waist, reposition to grasp the bird's tail. Contact, turn again, center of the body, push, separate, roll back, sit down, spiral up, lunge forward, twist step. T stance with your feet, center with the ball for better balance. L stance, bottom hand advances to ward off or push out your opponent. Turn your hips and waist, palm to palm but staggered to grasp the bird's tail. Look back, turn at the hips and waist, contact, turn at the hips and waist, push from the center. Separate the energy, roll back and sit down. Spiral up, lunge forward. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance. Move that energy, bottom hand, forearms. turn the hips and waist, grasp the bird's tail. Contact, turn, push, separate, roll back, sit down, spiral up, lunge forward. Other side, sit back, sit down, twist step. T-stance, help yourself with the center of the ball. L stance, move the energy, bottom hand, forearms your opponent, turn your hips and waist. Reposition your hands to grasp the bird's tail. Contact, turn hips and waist, center push out. Sit back, sit down, spiral up, lunge forward. Twist step, T-stance, hold your ball. Okay, so if you could extrapolate the parting of the wild horse's mane and the last one that we just did, grasping of the bird's tail, the feet were automatic. They did the same thing, but the movement required different things. But the patterning was the same. T stance, L stance, move the energy, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, T stance, L stance, move the energy, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. So if you got really good and you did this and it became automatic, then perhaps then you would appreciate the upper body fixing up or enhancing what you've established on the lower. So to practice well is to probably take the two bottom and upper apart and then work it and then join them together. Then if you're saying, oh, something's not right, take it apart again and work the top, then work the bottom. So to give us more support, we said that we could hold our Tai Chi ball. And the Tai Chi ball has certain parameters. The top hand should be at chest level. The bottom hand should be 2 inches below your navel, allowing us to center the energy to the middle of our system. To disperse or to dispense or to generate the energy that's now stored in our right foot, we're going to have to help the bottom by enhancing the top. So if you could be like me, and I'll walk you through it. This is the T stance. You have energy on your right. You're stepping out on an L. You're moving the energy, moving the hips and waist. Bottom hand advances to come out to part the wild horse's mane. This is the finished movement of part the wild horse's mane. Here again, we could check the knee not beyond the toe, the two hips aligned to the front or left foot, and the left hand is in that left position rather than in the mid position. The right hand is to the side of our hip as if it were holding another, like say a tennis ball. So you don't want that right hand to go to sleep and droop down. Here we go back now, okay? Choreograph says sit down, sit back, twist step. We need to center because all our weight's on our left. What do? Help ourselves by holding a ball. There, you feel a little bit more secure. To move out now, we're going to take an L stance, move the energy to the bottom of our foot, turn our hips and waist, split the energy, go up the horse's mane. Bottom hand advances. Sit back, sit down on that imaginary stool, twist step, root down, center and help yourself with a ball. Step out, move the energy, turn the hips and waist, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, store that energy, twist step. One foot is going to be weighted, so you're going to center yourself with a ball. Out on an L, move the energy from the bottom of your foot all the through, turn the hips and waist out to the tips of your finger. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, move that energy, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance, center. L stance. Bottom of the foot. Moves that energy. Turn the hips and waist. Part the wild horse's mane. Okay, so, all right, let's move on to cloud hands now, okay? Cloud hands, we said, is a sideways motion as if we were walking like a crab. But each time we take a step, the toes lead the movement. The heel, it's impossible for me to lead the movement. But how am I directing my toes to move in a sideways motion, keeping parallel feet? I'm using shifting of weight. Right now, I'm at 50-50. But I need to, we already learned that only the weightless, insubstantial foot can move safely. Therefore, when I want to move my left foot, I have to keep all my body weight on my right. What did I do? I ground it down, I flexed my knee to allow the opposite foot to be on its toe. At 100%, I should be stable. Then I can open, put my toe down, and slowly come down to a 50-50. Right now I'm 50-50. So this foot now becomes the weighted foot. Therefore, I slowly gain the weight, lose the weight of the opposite on the toe, make sure I'm firm, then close my foot. Then shift my weight here, bring it up here, so on and so forth, okay? So we're gonna crab walk and do it as a drill so we understand how our feet operate before we start our hands, okay? So going to the left first, okay? But again, every time we do Tai Chi posture has to be enacted and kept that way. Because if you get out of Tai Chi posture and you do a movement, no matter how great you think you're doing it, because that's what teacher said, if the posture is incorrect, it's probably not good for your body to move in that way, okay? It could be corrected and done in a healthier way, all right? So we said that we would learn how to be clouds by just using our feet. So ragdoll, drop that shoulder, making sure that our feet are well grounded. This time we're going to shift our weight from our left to our right. Why? Because we're going to crab walk out to the left. Do not just plop that foot down. Come down slowly. Come up slowly. Alternating. Ground down, make sure that it's at least flexed a little bit, close, slowly, reversed, open. So in this process, you're saying, wow, it's so easy, why is she going so slowly? But you sort of miss the point, because in doing this, you're listening to your body, you're tuned in to every detail, getting those sensations that you need to feel that you're doing it correctly. When we put our upper body together, we want to continue to feel these sensations. It's when we don't, we feel that we're going to be wobbly and insecure. All right, so we're going to take this pause here. How do we get to the other side? We do the opposite. But how do we do the opposite? If we want to get out to the right, our right foot then has to lead that motion. Therefore, it has to be a weightless foot. So right now we're 50-50. We want to move to the right. We throw the weight from our right to the left. We open, because this is stabilizing ourselves. We gradually do the up and down routine. And yes, you're saying, you know what? If I go faster, I can still do it. But Tai Chi says, do everything a little bit slower. That's how we have relaxation. That's how we enjoy the moment. That's how we are mindful of what we do. Okay? So you saw that I did not take huge steps. You saw that I didn't just plop my foot there, push it back up, plop it down. Because if you're billowy clouds, this would not be the characteristic. So you're soft and light, okay? It does build strength, it does build endurance, okay? It builds muscles. Now the upper body takes its turn. The driver of your movements are your hips and waist. Every time I move with my feet, my hips and waist turn. If they did not turn, I would not be in the optimal position. I have energy that I still am not using correctly. Therefore, besides the parallel feet and the shifting of the weight, we need to address different points. We use the clock. So when we're out at 9 o'clock for you, I will be in that direction. When I am midway, I'm in the 12. When I'm in the 3, my rotation of my spine starts to slightly rotate or revolve, and my hips and waist are directing me, okay? So this will be in line with what our hands or upper body will be doing or enhancing. So this is a slight thing going back and forth in conjunction with shifting of weight, okay? So we said the best way to do cloud hands is to put it all together at the face of a clock. So the upper hand, first of all, the hands alternate. One hand is higher, one hand is lower. The upper hand is about eye level. It's about eye level, nothing below, nothing above, but eye level. So that you can see your tips of your finger, but out into infinity. So you don't want to steady your fingers, steady your fingers. That's not Tai Chi, but you want to look out beyond your fingers, okay? So you know what the top hand is going to address the 9, the 12, and the 3 using the tips of your finger at eye level. The bottom hand now sits 2 inches below your navel. So it can't be here because my shoulders are raised. It can't be here because I'm not in good Tai Chi posture, but I'm right here, very comfortable. And I continue to sway with my hips and waist. But what are the hands doing? They're sweeping across. At the extremity of 3 and 9, they're turning as if they were blocking somebody. They're turning and as if they're blocking someone, and they're alternating with that other hand, okay? They're like egg beaters in that one is going one way, the other one's going the other way, but essentially they're doing the same routine. You could also use this as, Ken like to refer to it as reading the newspaper. You read the top line of the newspaper, you flip the page, you read the other side of the newspaper, flip the page, etc., okay? Just use your imagination, okay? So the distance in which you use your hands is not tight in here, not far out here, because that's going to alter your what, but just comfortably, okay? And what's happening? I'm already turning my hips and waist because I don't want to be just like this, right? I'm not using the full use of my body. I want to turn. The power of your movements lie within your hips and waist, okay? Let's turn this way. Let's practice some of that hips and waist thing, okay? So let's start this way. Left hand is high, right hand is low. Okay, and we're at 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock, but not 3 yet because we're not in motion. We just established 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, okay? Here we go. And your hips and waists are addressed sort of to the 1 o'clock. Move the hips and waists, drop that bottom hand, flip the top hand to the bottom. 12 o'clock, you have a stem and a cup, do you? 3 o'clock, you flip the hand, stem cup at 12, switch hands at 9, turn the hips and waists is the main thing, 12, 3. So each hand takes their turn, but something magical happens. When you turn your hips and waists, you don't have to really worry about what your hands are doing. You just set it up, and the hands go for the ride. So let's put some parameters to our hands now, okay? Now that you know that the hips and waists are driving the movement of our hands, let's see what we should really be doing or establishing. At 3 o'clock, turn that upper hand down. At 12 o'clock, the left hand has a stem. What is the stem? The arm, the upper arm, right? And you're sort of pointing to 12 o'clock. The bottom hand is near your navel or 2 inches below your navel. It could sit like this. But as we turn, the hand, the right hand cups. Change the position. Turn your hips and waists. You have a stem and you have a cup. Turn your hips and waists. Change the position. Turn the hips and waists. Stem and cup at 12. Turn the hips and waists. Change the position. So how am I changing the position? That's probably something you want. You're going to flip the hand that's up, down, and put the other lower hand up. Down hand, up hand comes down hand comes up. Just for now, okay? Just get that first. Change position. But each time we do it, what are you doing? Turning your hips and waists. So as if the hands are just floating. Also, in turning the hips and waists, do you feel that your feet somehow can shift its weight too? It surely can. And it'll be in conjunction to the turning of the hips and waists, okay? So let's figure out how that can happen. We said that we could advance using our feet, our toe, and we could shift our weight. So that's what we're going to try to implement with our hands and with our hips, okay? It's going to be an enhancer rather than something that's going to complicate, okay? So here we go. 50-50 on our feet. Left hand higher, right hand away. So you notice that one palm, the lower hand, the palm is away. The upper hand, the palm is always should be seen. But once it takes its rotation, the palm is no longer seen because the upper hand has that palm, okay? So we're like this, 1 o'clock. We're at 50-50, we're gonna put all the weight on our right foot. Therefore, our left foot can come up. We're gonna open. Hey, what happens? We can get to 12. Turn the hips and waists. What happens? We can get out to 9, but at 9, that's the end of the road. Therefore, we can firm down, change places with our hands, and close our feet. 12. Going out to 3, we need to shift our weight and open. End of the road, change places, close the feet. What happens? Shift the hands, open the feet. Let's not think too much. Let's just shift the hands, close the feet. Remember, whenever you get out to 3 and 9, 2 things happen. And if you are using and engaging your core and using your hips and waists, this becomes a flowing motion, something natural. You don't really have to think about it. Yes or no? Change the position, change the way. I'm going to close the left. Open the right. Use your hips and waist. Otherwise the clouds become stiff. It's as if the music is helping us with our flow, right? And each time we're moving only when we feel safe. Let's go the other way. All this power belongs within your mind and with your system. Other way now. So you often hear that Tai Chi is good for everybody, especially seniors, because it's soft, it's gentle, there are no jarring motions. You can stop. So this is a typical move of why what Tai Chi can do for you, or provide you, or give you. Hey, let's do something fancy. 3 o'clock. Shift your weight. 12 o'clock. Put the weight on the left foot, and what? Come up as a golden cockerel. Down, shift weight, come up as a golden cockerel.